Okay, so you've just completed the tutorial and now you want to actually take on a mission. Well, how do you take on a mission? Well, you go into jobs in your hack shop, the little IP that you received earlier, and you can see we have access to a whole lot of different jobs. My goodness, we have fraud and sabotage. Those are pretty new. Well, that's a little out of our realm of expertise. We're only level 0. We only have access to all of these 0 missions here. We can't even try out the 1. So let's start with something a little easy. We have credentials needed. The client wants access to the remote machine. Let's go ahead and start this mission. We received an email. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we don't know the username of a user that they want. They just want login credentials of any user on the remote machine. What machine specifically? This one right here. So let's go ahead and, like with the tutorial mission, let's go ahead and try to infiltrate this network. We're going to start with Nmap, and we can see a number of ports. The one that we're most concerned with is this ending in 5.1.0. We can see this right here. Perfect. Also, I'm just remembering something. We probably want to use Admin Monitor. Let's go ahead and acquire Admin Monitor. You have coupons to start off with. You have 10 coupons. You can use them on programs or you can use them on hardware for faster hacking. I would recommend you do it on hardware, but given that we haven't even done any missions really, I'm just going to use my coupon here. It's nice and easy. That's what it exists for. I'm going to put this in user bin. I'm putting it in user bin because it is a graphical program. So graphical, oh, sorry, we need a bank account. We missed a step. Okay, let's go register for a bank. We're getting ahead of ourselves, aren't we? Let's search for bank. Let's go here, register. I'm going to register with my email address. My password, guess what? Yep, it's test. Now, if I log in, you can see that we have $0. So we can't really buy anything. That's why the coupons are helpful. Let's go back to our hack shop. Okay, so now we can go back to our tools. We can buy Admin Monitor. And as I explained earlier, graphical programs should go in user bin, just for ease of access. Notably, it will also appear in here. All right, we can close this download. And if I look in my programs, we can see we have Admin Monitor. This is usually good to keep open because if an admin starts tracking you or tracing you, you can go offline and move around, maybe connect to a different Wi-Fi network for safety. But we're going to leave this up so we can see if something is happening with the administrator so we don't get caught. Credentials needed. Oh, we already accepted the mission. All right, so now we need this machine here. We have access to this machine in a couple of different ways. Unlike the tutorial mission, we do not have access to SSH. We cannot SSH directly to this machine. If we did try to SSH, it would end up on a totally different machine. The credentials for users on this machine won't solve this mission for us unless it's root. Now, if you manage to get the root password, you have the password for every computer on this machine, or the root user for every computer on this network. And so that would technically be allowed, but we're going to look for users because that's typically a little easier to find. So to do that, let's go ahead and try to gain access to this machine, this network, using either SMTP, employees, which is also known as SQL, or port 80, which is HTTP. So we have SMTP, SQL, and HTTP. How would you do that? Well, let's go to our hack shop, go to exploits. Let's start with SMTP. What version are we going to look for? We're looking for SMTP version 103. 1.0.3, 3, and then we search for it. We have a lot of different exploits to use. Oh my goodness. Okay, so what are we going to start with? Shells are nice. Granting access to the Etsy password file is super nice because that will contain the encrypted or hashed password that we actually want. This uses Decipher. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. That sounds like it might do exactly what we want. It is necessary to have the Decipher program installed in the computer that launched the exploit, so that would be my computer. Remote use. Permissions obtained. It'll obtain root permissions. That's pretty darn good. It has requirements, so we need to make sure that these requirements will be fulfilled. For one, public might not exist. Actually, no, that's wrong. Sorry, HTTP exists, therefore public will exist. This is where websites are stored. So because our target is also a web server, this requirement is fulfilled. That's just something that you have to know as you play the game longer. That's not quite explained in the tutorial anywhere. Anyway, moving on. 3 ports forwarding configured from the router to the target computer. Well, let's count them. 1, 2, what do you know? 3. We have 3 ports. So this library should be totally suitable for us. What I like to do, you don't have to do this, but what I like to do is I like to download the source code, because if I need to modify this later for whatever reason, if I need to change any minute details, make it work for another exploit, I can do that fairly easily. You might not want to concern yourself with that. That's totally fine. Leave this unchecked if that's the case. But you can buy this program or the source file. For now, I'm just going to store it in my downloads. And then we have that downloaded. So let's go ahead and open up our code editor. We can... Oh, I have too many programs open. Let's go ahead and close the manual. Why not? And you know what? We don't need this text file open anymore. We can close that. So let's go ahead and open code editor and the file that we just downloaded, this exploit that we're going to be using. Now there's a lot of details in here. This looks spooky. All right, don't worry yourself with the contents in here. That's totally fine. The only reason why I'm opening this up is so I can build it as if I just downloaded it. I'm going to build it as the same name of the file, but I'm going to take off the .src. And now we have our exploit that we can use. So how do we use this exploit? Let's find out. We have we're in the downloads folder already. If I type lsla, we can see this exists right here. Let's try to run it. Okay, so the usage requires the IP address and the port. So we know we're going to be working with port 25 because that's our SMTP port. So let's use it again. The IP, and then the port that we're going to use is 25. Error, cannot find meta exploit library in the lib path or current folder. That is a great point. So let's go ahead and get metaexploit.so. Now, there again, with many things in this game, there are multiple ways to acquire something. In this case, metaexploit.so. There are multiple ways to acquire this. I could just download it and then select where to put it, and that might be totally fine for you, but I'm kind of tired of using my coupon, so I'm going to use the free way. What free way, you might be asking? That's kind of odd. Well, I'll show you. Go ahead and copy the IP address of this repository, and we're going to be using a program called apt-get. So we do apt-get add repo, one word, and then we're going to paste the IP address, and now we have added this repository to our computer. So now we can do apt-get update. Now our machine is understanding what program offerings are from that repository, so we can type apt-get install, and then what we want to install, what's offered here, is metaexploit.so. So we type metaexploit.so, and that's all we need to type. If we press enter, it starts downloading metaexploit.so, and because it's a library, it installs it to the correct directory. So if we type ls la lib, we can see metaexploit is inside of lib, which is exactly where our exploit expects it to be. So now that we have metaexploit, let's go ahead and run our previous command. And now it's downloaded and deciphering the contents of this file. Or sorry, not downloaded. It probably didn't download it at all, but it is deciphering the contents of this file. And we're checking our admin monitor to make sure that nothing sketchy or weird is happening with that. I will be back when this is finished deciphering. All right. Oh, it finished deciphering a user. Now, this does want any user. So I can cancel this program if I wish. Before I do that, let's go ahead and just copy this password here. Notice it got the password for root, so that is quite useful. If I ran this on, originally I said we can't do it on either of these machines, but if that was our only option, this kind of exploit would have been very helpful because, again, this root user is shared on every computer inside of that network. So anyway, to complete this mission, I'm going to respond with any password of any user on this specific machine, which we have here. Send it, and there you go. The customer is satisfied with the job. There has been an adjustment to our income. That's amazing. Let's go ahead and check our bank now. That should be fun. We log in. There we go. We have $220. That's amazing. We can almost buy a computer part. All right. Oh, at least any good ones. Okay, so let's go ahead and delete some emails. We can do some cleanup. I'm going to keep this because that is our hack shop. We don't need this anymore. And now let's go ahead and do another mission. I will be ending this episode right now. We can check back for a different job later. Next time we're going to look at, I don't know, let's do a get remote file. Or wait. Yep, we're level 1. Let's try get remote file next.